Coda Kitchen in the heart of Maplewood Village, but with a city vibe. Come check out Coda for great food and great company. Luke Finn and his team love presenting their customers with inspired and creative dishes using as much locally sorted organic produce as possible. At the bar, you'll find an assortment of craft draft beers and classic original cocktails too. Lovely wines, the best wines. Coda Kitchen, Maplewood's favorite local hangout. 177 Maplewood Avenue. Check them out. Coda Kitchen. You gotta love them. Welcome to the Soma Talks podcast, sponsored by Coda Kitchen and the Cannabis Lady Dispensary and Lux 45, the Lifestyle Boutique. I'm Lee Navin, and once again, I am joined by the bad girl herself, Ileana Castillo.
Good morning.
Good
How
morning,
are you?
Ileana. I'm good. Bad girl. Talking about the sad girl. Talking about the bad girl. Yeah. The Donna Summer song?
Yes.
Yeah, that's where I got it from.
Oh, really bad
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah.
You know, someone like the other name that you call me, the Mistress of Darkness.
Mistress of Darkness.
That one has been the favorite one,
that-
apparently.
Well, this one here, I got the lyrics here. See them out on the street at night, walking, picking up all kinds of strangers if the price is right. Ileana, I apologize to you. This song apparently is about a hooker.
God, great.
I feel absolutely horrible. I've just read the lyrics for the first time, ladies and gentlemen, and Ileana, that's a terrible thing that let's go back to the Mistress of Ileana Castillo, the Mistress of, what did I call you? The Mistress of
Darkness.
Yeah, Mistress of Darkness. Yes. Let's ignore what I just said. So, Ileana, how are you doing? Everything good this week?
I am.
Yep.
I'm enjoying now that I'm in vacation for 2 months. You know, teachers get this whole summer off.
Yeah.
It's really,
So you're working on your tan, and you're working on your you're exercising at the gym, I'm sure.
Not really. Someone talks gets me busy. Like yesterday, for example, my phone was blowing up, and I was like, "You see, even in my vacation, I could take a moment."
Well, yeah, life was relaxing before this podcast, Ileana.
That's right.
I had a very relaxing life. Ileana calls me up one day and she's like, "Hey, Lee, would you want to do a podcast?" I go, "Yeah, it sounds like fun."
I know.
The last day I had fun was the day I received that phone call. It's been, I've had friends. They don't like me anymore because of the podcast. They call me up yelling about things I said about them on the podcast. And here's the other thing about this podcast. People think now I'm a moderator for Soma Talks.
Oh, really?
I'm constantly somebody said this. Can you delete it? I'm constantly getting text messages and messenger messages and even phone calls. Like matter of fact, yesterday, I get a message from a woman in town, a good friend of mine, and she's all ticked off because and I know everyone's tired of me talking about Paul J. Haley, but every week Paul J. Haley does something that I got to talk about. So Paul posts a picture of a sign, a lawn sign that says Biden Harris, right?
Yeah.
He's bothered by the sign. I'm not exactly sure why he's bothered by the sign, but I think he's just bothered by the sign. And he puts it on the and it becomes a big conversation on Soma Talks. And apparently it's the woman's house. He just happened to be walking by and he snapped a picture. Yeah, he just saw the sign. Paul took the picture. So she calls me up and demands that I because it's a picture of her house, that I take it off. And so I'm like, "It's your house." So I look at the picture. I'm like, "Yeah, it is her house because I know her house." So I'm like, "All right, let me see what I can do." So I reach out to Russell, right? You know, the moderator, and I said, "Russell, can you take it down?" Russell's like, "Yeah." He's like, explain the whole house situation. So Russell takes it down, but then you said, "No, don't take it down," because there's been a lot of comments on it. Right, so you said keep it up, and then Paul starts texting me. He's all mad because I guess Russell talked to him about why he took it down. So now Paul's all mad at me. Russell puts it back up. I got to reach out to you. The woman's yelling at me. And I'm like, this isn't even my job.
It's the typical day on Soma Talks.
Right, it's
Definitely.
unbelievable. So Paul is like, I lied to Paul. I said that she was calling the cops.
To be fair, there's a lot of people already have the lawn sign of Harris out there. Driving up here right now, I counted 2 easily.
So just Harris signs now.
No, well, they had a Harris Kamala sign. So it's not only your friend; it's already out there. Yes. You did text me about it to leave it down. You see, that's a tricky thing because it's like someone told me you can't be deleting posts when already people have committed their time and and posted.
Right.
On your friend defense, it was just a little bit of her house that you can barely see. Like, I didn't know it was your friend's house.
Right.
It could have been anybody's house.
Yeah, I mean, but
that person recognized her house as she stood. We all could recognize our own house.
But I did lie to Paul, and I said she was calling the cops at Paul. But Paul, I apologize. I lied about that part. But you know what she said? She said Paul was actually out there in just his underwear, and that's what really bothered her when he took the picture. But I apologize, Paul. Anyway, it was a big misunderstanding. Paul was just trying to bring up a point that I guess, you know, I don't know. It shouldn't say Biden anymore. I don't know. But anyway. So what are your thoughts on you know, me? How do I let the community know? Maybe you could put it on the Soma Talks podcast. Soma Talks that Lee Davin is not a moderator here. Leave him alone. Maybe we.
Well, I think it's pretty clear. The members already know who the moderators are because it's really clear. Like if you click administrative moderators, you see my name and you see the other two.
Right. Russell and of course.
Carrie.
Carrie, right.
But
yes.
I think that now that we're doing the podcast, like it's a little sister of Soma Talk, people assume now that you're kind of involved in the group as well. And it's two different things.
Yes.
You know?
So I have an announcement. I am, again, not a moderator. Soma Talks, leave me alone. I am just, this is a paid gig for me. Ileana pays me in pesos, actually.
Pesos. That's funny.
Right, pesos. So Ileana, we have a very special guest with us today.
We do.
Yep.
He's very active on Soma Talks, and I know a lot of people know about him.
Yep.
He's involved in a lot in the community.
The cool dude. His name is Henry Cittone, right?
Hello,
Henry,
how are you guys doing?
I got your name correct, Henry Cittone. I'm pronouncing
got
that correctly.
Yep.
Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with Henry, I don't think you're spending a lot of time on social media because Henry is very active on social media in Soma. On Soma Talks, I know I see you on a variety of other sites. You're a smart guy. You're a lawyer. I know that. I've done a little bit of research, and I just like what you write. I really dig what you write. You get to the heart of the problem. You discuss issues, and you don't pull punches. You know, when it comes to Jewish issues, Board of Ed issues, legal issues. I mean, so I would figure why don't we talk to you about all that shit? You know?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to talk to you guys.
Before we get into the nitty-gritty, how are you?
I'm good. You know, I'm working at home these days most of the time. I used to go into the city a lot, so that's why I don't comment on the commuting stuff anymore. And thank God I don't go in as much anymore because you guys are getting really screwed. I mean, it's terrible out there.
Now, you did bring us a gift, I see.
Oh, yeah. I got you some pineapples because I know you like to talk about the Soma swap swingers thing.
That's
and
right.
I'm going to let you put it upside down or right side. They're canned because I'm cheap. You know, I didn't get a real pineapple.
I love it. So are you a swinger? I guess.
No, absolutely not.
Swinger,
No, I was actually
Are you
surprised.
trying to tell us something?
No, I was wondering if you guys were because I was expecting to see Adirondack chairs in here and like Paul Haley in the corner.
You know what? That's not a good idea. That's not a bad idea. Maybe in the next Maple Woodstock, Lee and I can go with Adirondack's chair and sit there, and people will be like, "Oh,
do it."
I love the way Ileana says Adirondack's chairs. By the way,
How did I said it wrong?
You know, it's by the way, it's
That's
true.
the accent. That's the
It's
accent.
true because when I bought my house back in 2005, you know, I was just randomly talking to the realtor because I can't shut up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, you know, this would be great to put a couple Adirondack chairs out here because, you know, they're like a Northeast thing.
Sure.
And, you know, I was coming in from DC, so we don't really have them down there.
Okay, yeah.
You know,
yeah,
I've
it seems
lived
like a
all
very
this.
homely.
Yeah, I was like, the Northeast thing will fit in, you know. And
she's
she's like, you need to know something.
Oh, did she say
Oh,
that?
Yes,
did she say that?
yes. And I was like, whoa, that's pretty harsh.
I
You
cannot
know, it's pretty
believe
hard, you know.
Henry.
Wow, even wait. I'm
The
surprised that
realtor.
even the realtors know about.
Oh, they know
it.
everything. The realtors know everything in town.
Yeah. So she warned you about the. So we had neighbors down the street, and they had the chairs, and they had the whole thing going on. I had no idea this thing existed until a couple years ago, and I guess I've told Ileana a bunch of times. Every time I walk by and chat with her, she would ignore me. So my husband must have not liked my wife, is what I'm assuming.
Oh, God.
You know, though, you and I have bringing up the Adirondack chair again.
Right, yes.
We're making it popular again. Like, people now, a lot of people were aware, but a lot of people were not.
Yeah, and then then you
now
go
that's
buy
been-
them, and you've joined a club, and you don't even know you're a member.
Well,
you know?
a lot of people like this conversation. They're like, we really, it's one of their favorite conversation that we brought up was that.
Yeah, we got it out there in the public. Hey, everybody, it's the 21st century.
I still want to know what the baby chair means. The
Oh,
small
I
Adirondack.
don't even go there. I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
That could be illegal. Henry's a lawyer. He'll fill us in on those details. So if we want to swing and we have a child, is there any type of legal,
That might mean babysitting. I'm going to go with like a totally politically
we have
correct
a
view.
babysitting
We've got a
available.
babysitter in case you need to leave the kids
We
somewhere.
are ready to go. We are ready to go. Right, the chair is the baby chair is out
Just,
there.
like to the parents out there, because I listened on the train when I used to ride, and there were like some teenagers on the train, and they were talking about their parents' like sex lives.
Yeah.
Because, they're like,
my God,
these
really?
girls were going at it. They were like, "Look, my parents are freaks. They've got all these toys and shit." I'm like, holy shit, like right on the train,
What
like,
your kids know.
Be careful.
Right. Yeah. No, what your kids know. They know more. They more know than you. I mean, I found this out because my kid's in his 20s now. But when I 14 or 15, this kid was on to all the bullshit we were pulling. With the weed or whatever else was going on.
Yeah.
I mean, So parents, be careful out there. Especially with your sex toys.
Yeah, when you think your kids are not listening or looking, they are listening. And looking.
Yeah. I would love to have a sex toy, but my wife won't allow it in the house. She's
Don't go to Dubai
she
with
opposes
them.
that stuff. Yeah.
A friend of mine is a lawyer in Australia. He went to Dubai, right?
Yeah.
On a second honeymoon, and they brought their equipment
Right,
with them, and I know his wife too, and she was really embarrassed because they get to customs in Dubai.
Yeah.
And the lady. The guy pulls the husband over and he's like, "Do you have anything in here that like vibrates?" And he's like, and the wife is just like livid, like she's like trying to hide,
Yeah.
And he's like, "I'll get a female inspector." And so they start going, and they take him in the back and they start going through their shit in front of him. And she's like, "Just so you know, these are illegal." So they confiscated like thousands of dollars.
And that's illegal in Dubai?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you just confiscated. In Russia, probably spent like 15 years in prison or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
So, no, they just take it from you. They probably
They're like they're walking off with like the vibrator.
Now that you
This
bring-
was coming with us.
Now that you bring up the immigration thing, there's nothing more embarrassing. You're in the airport and they do these random things to look into your luggage, and they open it, and then you have like dirty laundry, or you have like sex toys and everything, and you're just with your head down, like, what do you do?
I know. We were leaving Amsterdam once,
God.
and they looked for weed big time.
Oh, yeah.
Like in everything. And all our laundry was filthy, and it was, and it just right there in front of everybody.
Yeah, it's right in
They
front
don't
of
care.
everybody.
They just dump it in
They
it.
have no shame.
Right, and then they just leave
Yeah,
it there
your
for you to pull-
underwear's up in the air,
Right,
like
right.
you're embarrassed,
Yeah.
like they see even the kind of underwear you have,
And
everything.
then they leave it there for
They're
you
going
to
going
repack it.
G-string at your age.
And they'll do
like,
it like with 5 minutes left before the plane's taking off.
Yeah.
So you're busy trying to put everything back in the bag and make the flight. It's
so embarrassing.
yeah. But so anyway.
Oh, Henry.
Yeah, but now that we're talking about dirty laundry, Ileana, I guess we should get on and start talking about what's going on here in Soma, because there's a lot of dirty laundry going on in Soma that we.
Soma never surprises me anymore. When you think you've heard it all, you still haven't heard it.
So what are we talking about?
Right. So let's just take a quick break. We want to introduce our sponsors to the listening audience, and when we return, let's jump on some of these topics. So we'll be back at the Soma Talks podcast in just 1 minute.
We're villains, you crybaby. We swing. I watched my wife Manta Claus and then make him breakfast.
Is that true? Eggs and buttered toast.
Lux 45 Lifestyle Boutique, downtown Maplewood. Since December of 2021, Lux 45 Lifestyle Boutique has been the destination for curated collections of elevated, athleisure, ready-to-wear clothes, accessories, and gifts. Owner Jill Berman scours sustainable and women-owned vendors from around the world. She also travels to retail shows regularly to source quality items, function and form. She cares about her hand-picked merchandise. She cares about her customers. For those men out there, she'll find you that perfect birthday gift for the wife or girlfriend. She has saved my rear end on more than one occasion. A few occasions, actually. Trying to shop for my hard-to-please wife. Check out Lux 45 Lifestyle Boutique on Instagram. Tell her Lee and Ileana from the Soma Talks podcast sent you and save 15%. That's 15%. 163 Maplewood Avenue, Lux 45 Lifestyle Boutique. And we're back. The Soma Talks podcast has returned with Ileana Castillo, Lee Navin, and our special guest, Henry Cittone. Henry, Again, really appreciate you stopping by, spending some time with us. Now, Henry, as I was telling everyone, you're an attorney. You have your own practice. You want to talk a little bit about what you do?
Oh yeah. So like I've been practicing law since I was admitted in 2003 in New York. I'm just barred in New York, so we have our own practice. We do work for small to medium-sized enterprises. We're doing intellectual property primarily, distribution agreements, manufacturing agreements. We work in different industries and help people run their businesses in an efficient manner, try to keep them out of court. We do quite a bit of litigation, though I'm trying to get out of that. I've finished up my last case, and I've got just one more in state court, and then hopefully I'm just going to turn that all over to Tony because I just...
No, Tony's your partner?
Yeah, Tony's one of my associates.
Gotcha.
So we've got 3 partners, and then George, my old boss, who's there as of counsel, which is great.
Yeah.
Like anybody would be willing to
So what do you
want to
do now once those courts are
just help people run their businesses.
business?
And
That's
then,
what you like?
Yeah, I mean, we will still do litigation. Just me personally going to court, it's just like too much.
Yeah, I gotcha.
What it does is it takes your focus away from like the holistic management of your clients because you're having to service the needs of a courtroom.
Yeah, you're sitting there all day waiting for your case to be heard.
Yeah, it's not just waiting. Like you're doing whatever the judge wants for like 3 weeks of your life, and then, or the best part was this case went through COVID, so we had 3 judges, we had 4 court dates. So you get ready for court, and then they're like, "Well, we're not going to have the trial," and I'm like, "You could have told me that 2 weeks ago."
So it's not like Tom Cruise in The Firm. It's not like
Yeah, it's like hurry
Your
up and
Honor,
wait.
I object, and this is unacceptable. It's not quite.
There's a bit of that, but most of it is like pushing paper around. I tell people I push paper around to hurt people, but
Right, yes. So, being a lawyer, you're up on issues, you pay attention, you know what's happening, you're able to analyze different situations. I know you're very politically conscious about what's going on in the world and Soma. I see you on some of there's, by the way, for you non-Jews out there are some secret Jewish sites in the Soma area that focus on anti-Semitism. So for those of you that are busy marching or yelling or ranting, Soma Palestine, whatever it is you're doing, there are sites where we're talking about you and we're discussing the situation. And I see Henry's on these sites. I'm on these sites.
I think everybody know there's a lot of secret groups in Soma.
There are a lot of secret groups. Ileana's on these sites, even though she's not Jewish.
I don't know about that.
She's like the honorary Jew.
Well, they got their site too, so like I'm sure talking about us.
Right, everybody's right. Like, there's a bunch of secret sites out there, but these are secret, not really secret, but it's just a safe place where people can discuss issues important
But they are
to them.
secret ones that nobody knows.
But I know that anti-Semitism in this community is bugging the shit out of you, Henry. You want to talk a little bit about?
I mean, it's been here since before the October 7th thing, right? And if you go back, and I didn't really get involved in it until the hijab gate thing came out.
Okay.
Because when I saw
we
that,
will get that into a
yeah,
minute.
we'll get into that in a minute.
The teacher,
but that started.
who was suspended basically forever from.
Like
schools.
and it's like the way I look at it is it's kind of like the same thing as the Crown Heights situation, right? That occurred years and years ago. For those of you who are old enough to remember, with the riots and stuff.
Right, with David Dinkins' administration that time.
Yeah, the back in those days. So like. Politicians and political groups like to pit minorities against each other to get things. So, you want to have a bogeyman or a bad guy. You're going to rile people up by saying, like, the Jewish teacher did some shit to some black kid,
right.
or some black teacher did some shit to a Jewish kid, or whatever, like, and then you're going to get a lot of press, and you're going to create that discord and that fighting, and so people like that are involved in advocacy. For some subsets of people that are involved in advocacy because they get attention.
Brings attention to themselves.
And to their cause.
Through the issue.
And through their cause, which may be a good cause. Some of these groups do a lot of good stuff, but they're getting attention in a way that's hurting Jewish people, and it's hurting the actual teacher that was involved, and it's hurting the community because it makes people feel like that the entire community is hated here. And especially when it turns out that the charges are specious or complete bullshit, like, frankly,
So why do you think Sanchez was...
I was going to go into that.
That's my big one.
He's a lawyer, and I know he's very involved in the community. I know you've done your fair share, and I know Lee and I, we know you're a lawyer, but we want to know your opinion, a little bit of mix of both, and And you can raise that question because I was going to go with the Tamar issue, but we could start with the Sanchez.
Well, my question was basically both, because Sanchez, lawn signs, he's universally loved, and I haven't met the guy, and I'm very happy that he's going to go back to work, he's going to make a living, and hopefully this whole thing goes
And he's
away.
tenured.
But the community got behind this man, but Herman. Zilch, nothing.
Yeah.
It was at first, and we'll talk about the Soma Lounge later, but I know the Soma Lounge immediately was calling for her firing, hundreds and hundreds of posts, and then all of a sudden, it died down quickly when they realized that she was probably a victim.
Well, before Henry...
But yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Before Henry answer that, to be fair on Sanchez, he was very well organized. Like, there were parents volunteering to help
But
him.
why-
I feel
why-
Tamar, there was... Well, because they're more grown-ups. They're like high schoolers, parents were aware of this principle. Principle is a big thing. One teacher... I guess the community, the Jewish community could have probably stepped up their game.
Yeah, they could have.
But this is where you come in. Like, what happened there? Like, you see the difference? I could see Lee's comparison. Like, look how people were behind Sanchez and Tamar was just, like, left, like,
Flat,
alone.
what are your thoughts on
is
that?
done?
I mean, there's a whole bunch of reasons for that. I mean, one of them is like, basically, this is what systemic racism looks like. You hear people talking about it, but this is it, right? And there's other reasons. There's political reasons, like because there's a political fight over what Sanchez was doing at the school. Okay. And you have to understand there's a political fight between a faction that does not want police to enter CHS, and then the Maplewood Police Department and certain politicians that want more enforcement within CHS. There were rumors that weapons were being hidden at the school. Like basically this kid brought some sort of weapon to the school. They're not sure if it was a gun or a knife because he had a beef with another student, and that Sanchez let him go. So that was one thing that someone reached out to me and told me, basically said, go home, and then, it got all shoved under the rug. And you saw with the anti-Semitic graffiti, the Kill Jews graffiti, that's a mandatory legal report.
Yeah, whatever happened with that?
They hid it. They hid it from the police, and then it got out. And then the cops showed up and they're like, well, it's been cleaned up already. So they just took the report, but they didn't do any investigation. Like, hey, like who wrote this? Is it like just some stupid kid that's being an asshole?
There should have been consequences about that. There should.
Yeah, and I wanted consequences for that, not for the stairwell incident necessarily, but for that, because I was like, look, it's either some stupid kid that's being a jackass,
right,
or you could have a school shooter that's actually going to do shit because they're online and they're being radicalized. There's a lot of online radicalization going on.
You need to get to the bottom of that.
I'm sorry to break it down to you. They're not going to do anything.
Yeah, I know.
But
I know.
Well, my original thought was he erased it or had it paint scrubbed off or whatever. And maybe his thought was like, I don't want anybody to see this. This is horrible. Kids
But
shouldn't
that's
see
wrong.
this.
That's hateful.
But
so
But
we're
it's
going to
illegal.
start
There's a
hiding
law.
it?
There's a law that says when there's a death threat or a threat of some sort of violence, you have to you have to make a mandatory report to the police.
Now,
and
you
that's
think it was just a blooper on his part, or
No,
you think
it's policy. This is
No,
policy.
why he just didn't follow up on this? You think that was because
There were people behind it that didn't
Or-
want
or-
to report it, or he took that
No,
decision?
they're like,
that-
it's a Jewish. Fuck the Jews.
No,
I mean, you know what I'm
I
saying.
think it's more we're getting fucked, but just because by circumstance in that issue, like there is a contingent of people starting with Courtney Winkfield and all that whole crew over there on the BOE that got voted out and that are now voted back in that do not want any kind of SROs, school resource officers, etc. Then you've got on the other side BPW and a bunch of other more conservative people that want some sort of enforcement, like law enforcement, like function in the schools, right?
Right.
And instead of sitting down and in a normal community that's not so polarized and not like, I mean, because look what we did to the man. I mean, the man went to jail.
Right.
This is crazy.
It was
Like they should sit down and hash out, okay, like zero police is bad and having draconian like Nazi cops in the school is bad too.
You're telling me Black Parents Workshop is in favor of more policing?
my
in the-
understanding.
That's my understanding.
And
You
the
can ask
other
James, but that's
social warriors group are the ones that anti with that.
That's my understanding
That's
from
funny
what I've read.
because they're both black people and they have different opinions about it.
Look, they can have different opinions, but what I'm asking them to do is to engage with each other constructively and find a solution that doesn't involve arresting principals,
Right.
and all kinds of crazy stuff that's going on here, because he didn't need to get arrested for any of this. Like, I don't.
It was, to be fair, on Black Parents Worship, that was up to the prosecutor.
Yeah, but look, like that's what they always say, right? And they said the same thing about Tamar, but they sent an email, and it's in the court papers, demanding that Tamar be investigated
Tamar
by the
Herman.
police.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's
So
right.
who
James did.
James wanted? Okay.
It's right. I have it right here
Yeah,
on my
no,
phone.
no,
You can read it.
I remember. Right.
I posted it.
Yeah.
Wait, he sent an email about what?
Like that there should be an investigation about criminal charges.
Against Tamar?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
And so
Was
right.
that recently or a while ago?
that was when it happened.
when it initially?
Oh, yeah,
It just came
okay.
out now. It just came out now, because it got put in because they are under sanction. They're about to be sanctioned by the court for not turning over their emails in the lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
You see, this is what brings me back to we have the Jewish community, or at least us activists. I don't speak for the whole Jewish community. There are 3 synagogues here. They all have their different positions. I don't want to step on anyone's toes. They do what they do. Then a lot of people go to Jeshurun up in Millburn.
Yep.
I go to, I don't go, but I'm supposed to go to Highland Park to the Sephardi synagogue.
Okay.
So, I'm not involved in the whole synagogue scene here.
Right. Your
You know.
synagogue
Yours
is not
yeah.
one of the
Okay.
Soma synagogues.
But the thing is, we have asked, and Tamar's friends have asked, and I never even met the woman, have asked 3 separate school boards to please resolve this case and do some justice for us.
Do
Because
you want to say name or you rather? not?
well, no, there's the Thayer board, there's Caitlin's board, and there's Kwawi's board.
Oh,
And I
the
keep getting told by people on these boards that there is support, but not enough to do something. Then when I saw the Sanchez thing come out, and I asked even after the Sanchez thing, hey, okay, if you're going to
see
do
the
Sanchez,
difference?
if you're going to raise $50,000 for this man who shoved the girl into a stairwell, okay, and got ECPO charged, and they brought it up to a grand jury. I know it was dismissed, so they went through it, and I trust the process. I'm going to trust the process on it, that this was not the incident that it was said to be, because if it was as bad as what it was said to be, then I think the charges would have been not been dismissed by 1, the grand jury, and then 2, there were separate charges that were not grand jury charges that were also dismissed. So if he really shoved some girl into the stairwell and beat the crap out of her, even if she was going to a fight, then there would have been
Allegedly
something.
a fight. That's still unclear.
Yeah, but okay, but I'm assuming that since all that was presented to the grand jury and we didn't see it, I'm assuming for the sake of discussion that as presented, that was what happened. Okay. Because otherwise it wouldn't make sense.
So, we've got that whole situation.
No, wait, you didn't finish. So what's going to happen with Tamar? Where are we at
Oh,
right
with the
now?
court case? Well, it's in discovery. The federal court case against the school district is in discovery. The BPW is up for sanctions for not turning over its email. Okay. They have until, I believe, the 5th of August to turn them over. If they don't, then they're going to have to show up in court at 10 a.m. on the 12th of August in room 2C in New York Federal Court and explain to Magistrate Mike Hammer, my favorite judge name ever.
That's
if you
right,
remember the old
Mike Hammer. I saw you when you posted that.
I was like,
You're
wow.
the best part about this whole situation is the judge's name.
Yeah, you got to give his parents. I'm sure he hates me for this, and I don't know the man, and thank God I don't appear in his court because he'd probably kill me for this. But you got to give props to his parents because they're their last name's Hammer.
Yeah.
What are we going to name the child?
Right.
And they're flipping through the TV and they're watching the show. They're like, that guy.
I have a quick question
He's either
for
going to be
you.
a judge or an FBI agent.
Yeah.
I have a quick question for you. How do you feel about all these social groups or
social
and
justice groups. There are a lot of them, and they all seem to have their hands in different areas.
Yeah, there's different social
for
justice
their
group
benefit.
around. You got PPW, you got Soma Justice, you got the Coalition of Race, you got all these. How do you feel about all these groups?
You got Soma for Palestine now. It seems like it just goes on and
That's
on.
another
and on.
one.
Yeah, it's it's just pressure groups and whatever. We have our own group too now. Why did we create our own group? Because everybody else has one. A lot of people don't vote. So I would really encourage people to vote, especially in my precinct, District 3, South Orange, because I'm the Democratic committee member now.
Oh, yeah.
Winning by a landslide of 3 ballots because nobody
Nice,
ran.
congratulations.
Again, please participate.
Right,
You have the government that you didn't vote for.
Yes.
So when people found these groups and they put, like, let's say each group has a core of 150 people in it, right? And then the leader of that group can go to a politician and go, I can bring you 150 votes. That's what's going on. You know, like I just threatened it, right? Why? Because they do it.
I'll tell you something, Harry. I've noticed and through the years lately that the Jewish community are very vocal. Like when I moved in, the Jews weren't very vocal. They were just living their life, doing their family and everything. But I have to say, like in the last 3 years, it's been like they're stepping up. Like I hear them more constantly. They're more involved. They have strong opinions. Like
because stuff happened. I mean, like,
and after what happened with Israel,
not even that. Like before that, like in 2011, you had the menorah vandalized in South Orange.
Right.
You know,
I remember that.
You know, I've had people from different minority groups, and I won't say which ones, come to me and say, hey, we have a problem in our community with anti-Semitism. And I always blew it off. I was like, nah. You know, like one guy told me on the train, like, we have like people in our community that don't like Jews. I'm like, that's got to be 1 or 2 people. It can't be, you know, like a lot.
So,
you know, but then now all this stuff happens with hijab gate and stuff and how we're being used.
We had on the 2 rabbis, the rabbi Terry,
Dan,
Dan Cohen and the rabbi Beth Jesuin. You know,
Yeah.
And they both agreed while they were on with it. They said that they have for years. They said it's getting better. Anti-Semitism's getting better. They said they're both shocked at how bad it is right now. One of the rabbis, I believe it might have been Dan, he said he brought his family to Israel, and he's after October 7th, and he said he felt safer there in Israel than
They're here.
Yeah, a lot of people say that. It's scary.
That's asinine. Not
Well,
that he
don't
said
you
it. It's
feel-
asinine that the world is like that today, and especially in Soma, which has been a Jewish community for generations.
I don't know.
That
I
Jews
think-
are walking down the street in Soma feeling like, I got to be careful. Maybe I shouldn't wear my Jewish star out. Or
Yeah, but Lee, wouldn't you feel comfortable around your own people?
yeah, I mean,
I would.
you know, you would imagine that you do feel comfortable around your own, and that's why, as you know, Henry is saying, there are Jewish groups that are kind of forming, you know, justice groups. But this is insane. I mean, this is so. What do we do about it, Henry? what is Jews? You know, I mean, we talk about it, we rant and rave, but do we get out there with signs?
Well, not really, because where's the township committee brings in? I got to bring the Maplewood Township Committee in South Orange too. Like, how do you see those people doing for the Jewish community? Do you think they should do more? Do you think they're not doing enough?
They barely do anything. I mean, you know,
from both sides, from
yeah,
Maplewood, South
you
Orange.
know, look, if some incident happens, like the recent graffiti over by the duck pond, you know, because the march for the hostages, the run for the hostages occurs around that duck pond. So
Right.
someone decided to be an asshole and like, right, it's the Jews,
I think
and that's a
they-
reference to the election that's coming
They knew
up.
those people were going to walk there.
Yeah, they knew they were going to see it, of course.
Right.
I'm not stupid. I mean, like, you know,
so that group was
obviously.
being watched, and they said, "Here, we're
Yeah,
gonna,
yeah, and it's
and, and they were very careful what they wrote. They wrote, "It's the Jews."
well, we know what that means.
Right, which could be like, right. It's the Jews. It's their fault, you know. But of
Yeah,
course,
something is their fault.
Right, but if
Something
someone
is our
seen
fault.
painting it, you go, "No, I was just saying the Jews are great. It's the Jews. They're number one." I mean, you
Yeah,
know,
that's
but
bullshit.
right, exactly, right.
You know, like, I mean, so like they do stuff, but and also I have to fault our rabbis a bit, and I know I'm going to get heat for this one, but and I do the festival, so I have to be careful. But like they've always wanted to be behind the scenes, like, hey, we have this problem, can you solve it for us? But that got nothing. You know what got action at the school district with MAPSO Freedom School and all their like anti-Jewish, anti-Israel stuff that they
Right.
put out after October 7th?
Right.
The Title VI investigation, because we gave Gilbert, you know, like Superintendent Gilbert, cause to do something about it. And we gave the board cause because now they can point, hey, we have a problem because we're being investigated.
Right.
So, you know, I'll quote like Judge Rakoff. Like he told me once in court, we have a carrot and stick approach in this courtroom. The mediator, the nice people who work behind the scenes, that's the carrot. And you can guess who the stick is.
Yeah.
So that's what we have to do here too. We still need the carrot. You know, we need people to come in and be conciliatory and say, how can we fix this? But we need pressure, because if we don't have pressure, because the other groups engage in huge pressure on elected officials.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
There's
so
some
and
groups-
that's why they get what they want.
Okay.
You know, and if that's the way the
they're
system is.
persistent. Those group that you're talking about, they're very persistent. They
persistent.
go on social media. They go to the meetings. They go they hammer them.
Yeah, and they're like, "Hey, we're not going to vote for you." You know, they get what they want because they exercise pressure using the process. So we have to do the same thing, and it may not be pretty, but we have to do it.
They are an organization. The Jewish community don't have an organization. Yes, you guys could come together and do something, but maybe you guys need an organization to be more more effective. Maybe
we just need more. The Jewish people need to step up and run for these offices, run for the Board of Ed.
We have someone. There's a Jewish person right now, and then the Maplewood Township Committee. Deborah Engel.
And Malia Herman. She basically made it very clear that she was supportive of the Jewish people when she ran, and
she said she was supportive of everyone, and that was the message that really needed to, because we need to create some unification here. Mm-hmm. That's why I liked Malia, because she's unifying the community. She's not trying to engage in divisive behavior for the sake of motivating certain people that might be motivated by hate, because the leaders need to stop that kind of behavior. Yeah, that's number one. And should we organize into like one group? I mean, there's Federation, there's ADL. See, the problem with the Jewish community in general is that we're very fragmented because everyone has their own viewpoint of how it should be done. Like I was just messaged like 3 times last week. You got to tone it down, Henry. You got to be quieter. Yeah, by
the Jewish community.
Yeah, by other Jewish people. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to. No. Okay, no,
why?
because
what
did you?
saying?
Because it's the old saying, "This too shall pass." But you know what? This doesn't seem to be passing.
Look, it started during Trump administration when the right wing got all like anti-Semitic. Because putting aside, look at Vance, right? Like he was the darling of the of the Proud Boys when he voted no on the Israel military aid package.
Right.
Then he gets to the RNC. Right. And this is after Trump is shot. OK, so already Trump is shot out in right wing land, by some crazy person. Yeah. And they flipped Vance has flipped his position on Israel. Right. And then all of a sudden he's getting all kinds of death threats. And then they found out that the man's wife is Indian. Yeah. And then they're starting to do all the racial stuff. Right. So, these groups have been activated. And it starts when you have a president that meets with these people, okay? Like he sits down with Kanye and Nick Fuentes for dinner, and it sends a wrong message. And then on the Democrat side, because I will criticize my own party. Sure. Because I've told people, you got to clean up your own party. You can't clean up the other side because you're not a member of the other side.
Your own backyard.
So Biden is kowtowing to Tlaib because he needs her district. And she said all kinds of nasty anti-Semitic stuff over there in Dearborn because it riles up her population to vote.
And they're going to need that district. They're going to need that state if they want to beat
And they
Trump.
did the same thing here in Jersey. They had the vote no on Biden, vote no, not committed. They had a whole group and it was the Green Party. Like I told people, these aren't even Democrats. This is these rando parties when you go vote and you see some random party there.
Yeah, those are the ones,
they're, like Green or Socialist Workers of America,
So we're going to take a quick break, quick commercial break. This is fascinating, and we're going to be right back with Henry Cittone, so please stick around.
I'm staying in the race.
Elevated by the Cannabis Lady. Owner Jill Cohen is passionate about her cannabis. Her dispensary caters to those with a refined taste, and she believes that cannabis can transform lives into an elevated experience. The plants, with their healing benefits, bring happiness while lowering anxiety, pain, and many other symptoms. Elevated by the Cannabis Lady offers a 5-star experience that starts with a friendly environment and highly trained bud tenders, ready to guide every customer on their journey. Jill and her team are committed to a higher level of wellness. Check out the Cannabis Lady at 9 Highland Place. That's in downtown Maplewood. Tell them Lee and Ileana from the Soma Talks podcast sent you, and you may just get a discount. And we're back. The Soma Talks podcast has returned from its commercial break. I'm Lee Navin with Ileana Castillo, and we're with Henry Cittone, our guest. Henry, changing the subject a little bit, Ileana wanted to know what you thought of her favorite, social media group.
I was going to ask him, were you in Maplewood 09?
No, because I was not in these forums until someone told me about them, and I was like, wow, we have local forums. I should join and see what the fuck people are doing.
And did you?
Yeah, and then I was like, whoa, we
And
got
then you're like,
problems.
shit, now I got myself too involved.
Yeah.
But Soma Talks, which I love the site. It's my favorite site, obviously, as my favorite moderator. By the way, the best looking moderator in all of Soma.
I look terrible today.
That would be Russell Watson I'm talking about.
I've never seen Russell's picture, so you're going to have to show it to me.
A lot of
boy,
people, I
boy.
don't think he has pictures of himself.
No,
like,
but I've
you
met
know.
Russell a couple times. What you see is what you get. You know?
Yeah, that's true.
Right, but he's a good
I
guy,
wanted
Russell.
to ask you, who's your favorite poster? Like when you go to some talk, you know, with Lee and I, we talked about it. That we're always looking forward to see certain
we're just
people's
curious.
opinion.
People love hearing their name. Like for instance, Paul J. Haley is my least favorite poster, but
Yeah.
So but your favorite poster might be anybody that you like that just stands out. And you're like, man, I got to read what they wrote.
Yeah,
I got to see
I
what
always
they're
say
saying.
that John Santak is one of my top three. I always looking forward to see what he has to say. And sometimes Manu Pai, she's really good. Manu Pai, really good.
Stephanie Gomez, I like a lot. I like Jessica. And Jessica Ontini. I can never say her last name. Otieno.
Otieno?
Jessica's good. I like her.
Yeah. I like her point of view.
You know whose name no one ever mentioned? My name.
I was gonna say your name actually,
It's like the
because you are the only poster I've never had like an issue with, on a difference of opinion with.
Yeah.
So like, that doesn't mean anything because
Yeah,
I'm like,
I know, but,
whatever. But like,
Well, picking on you would be like, picking on the teacher. You know what I mean? Like, or I'm in class with all these students, and you're like the teacher.
no. I mean, in terms of what she posts,
What
like
I
if
post,
she posts
like
like
what
the
I post.
original
I know
post.
I open my mouth a lot, and I'm like that kind of girl that like I tell you what everybody is thinking. I'm that girl that will tell you. Gets me in trouble a lot, you know.
But you also phrase it sometimes as more of like a question. Like it'll be like, does everybody agree with me that so and so sucks shit? You know.
I do that sometimes.
Like.
But yeah, who's your favorite like poster that you're always looking forward? Because there's some good. And Jason Sippy, I like his post a lot.
Sippy's smart.
Sippy is growing in me. Like he is like right behind John.
Sometimes he'll be writing something like kind of in the middle. It seems like he just changed his thought. You know.
Yeah, it's like a
free-for-all.
stream of consciousness.
Yeah,
with
yeah,
him.
right.
So sometimes he says stuff that I'm like, that's a little too like right wing for me. A lot of the posters that are frequent posters, honestly, are a little bit too right wing.
I don't think he's right wing. He comes across like he's a centrist.
Now,
he can though sometimes, because sometimes he borderline says stuff that could be construed as racial.
I can see that.
And I'm like, you got to tone that. Like you got to really think about that.
Do you think these some of these there is I wouldn't say it's a right wing or it's a Republican site, some people say, but do you think maybe a lot of these people kind of matriculated over to Soma Talks, if that's the word I'm looking for, because they were booted from the lounge, let's say, because of their politics?
I always say that the majority of people that are in Soma Talk are misfits because they've been booted out from different groups. Could be Maplewood Moms, could be Lounge.
Is it because of moderate?
Justice.
Is it because of moderate political thought? Where you're like, I mean, I'm not.
I heard, and this is really
lounge.
important. I heard someone posted that Maplewood Moms have said that if some Jewish people start talking about anti-Semitism, they direct them straight to Soma Talks to talk about it. I don't know if that's true or not, but someone did mention like,
I'm banned from there. So like before I can't even find a group. I couldn't find it.
Oh no, you're banned if you can't find a group.
But I was never a member, which is amazing. They pre-banned me.
But you know what?
Like, not this guy, not ever. Right?
I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard two members said that you cannot talk about anything about the Jewish, that they would send you to Soma Talks. I don't mind. You can send them all over and talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad if that's happening, and
so,
I don't.
So a person said that. She was like, yeah.
Okay, well, look, if the members are saying it and two separate people have said it, that's like, that's
you know how many
close.
Jewish moms have been coming into Soma Talk recently because they just feel like they can't speak in those groups.
We lost Kibbutz Soma because of threats and other problems.
Right, she closed it down.
What group has shut down because of threats?
Because they were getting scared.
Yeah, and
why did that? And I know why, but I want to hear your opinion because I talked to a person and I don't want to out her out, and she kind of apologized to me, which I'm very grateful. Very decent Jewish lady. Why did you think that group got closed?
You know,
And it was pressure by a group. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I know everything you know, and I don't want to publicize it. You go ask the moderators of that group.
I know
for
we're
their
going to talk
statement.
about this offline.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
you know, like,
guys, we can't
so
say
I-
sometimes
I'm
we
not
can't say our
gonna-
sources.
No, I'm
Right.
just not going to talk about it because it's private. But yeah, I mean, you know, the moderators made a public statement when they quit, and you can go read that, and it was.
Have you talked to them in person?
Oh, I know them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like,
And
you know,
I get it. You know, you want to have like a site where friends and to meet people and talk about similar issues, and then all of a sudden somebody says, "Hey, you better watch your step."
But why do we
And,
have groups that are censoring people? Like, I don't get it. We're all,
Well, what do they
isn't that
care?
what Soma is about? Like, we're all about
I think-
everybody, and we're all, the hates have no home here. We're all inclusive. But hey, the groups
I
are
don't know.
not
You know,
inclusive.
I think.
Am I right or wrong?
I think
Are
you're
the
right.
groups really inclusive?
No, the
I
groups
try
aren't
to be as
inclusive.
inclusive as I can, even though people says, "Oh, you're a racist group," which I don't think we are. There's some strong opinions. I get that. And we're maybe a little bit centrist, right wingers are more vocal than
no,
the
you
Democrats.
got a lot of left people too. Like they're
starting to come out. The
I
left.
got to tell you, I blocked a lot of the people that were posting like anti. They would argue about like the Israel war. I just, don't want to argue about it on talks.
Right, you're
I
like,
don't care.
I don't need my blood pressure to go up
No,
every
it's
day.
just it's not just that. It's like they don't know enough.
And there's that.
And
too.
then they're like stepping into a discussion, right? And they know nothing about it. And I just don't want to sit. I don't need to educate them. Like,
You know, that's a good topic, and I'm sorry to interrupt you. And I think maybe Lee and we should talk about if these towns are really inclusive or not, and bring some guests, because I feel like we're not. And I feel like everybody prays we're inclusive. We're inclusive. Are we really? Are we?
You know
like,
what?
Come on, let me.
You know-
let me.
You know what? When I walk down the street, or when I have dinner in a restaurant, or when I'm about town, or I go see my friend's band, you know, the Stuff Brothers, by the way, great band, buddy of mine. We play all. Shout out to him. I don't find that there's oh no, him or it's her, it's stay away. Oh, that's that person. I feel like everybody kind of gets along. It's these keyboard warriors
Yeah.
that I don't think get out of the house enough. Maybe they're stuck with young children. Maybe in a few years they'll be like, you know what? I can't believe I was saying all that. Now my daughter's not invited to bar mitzvahs because I was busy ranting and raving on October 7th, and the Jewish people remembered my last name, and now my.
I agree.
I just
to a
wonder
certain
in a few years from
point.
now.
I agree with you to a certain point because that comes out in the real world. You know
Yeah.
how many times I've gone to the pool or my daughter's school and everything, and I see the parents giving me the ugly eye because word does go around. I'm like,
Yeah.
why?
yeah, but those are the online parents. Like they need to get offline.
Yeah.
I think there should be like a, you know, take a break from all this. Like,
Yeah.
and I need to take a break from it too. Because,
Soma's
like,
a great place if you don't go online. It's a you know, but when you go online, you're like, oh man, I didn't realize my neighbors think that or believe that or.
But you know the thing is too, it's permanent. Like what you think is permanent when you write it down, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like because I write for a living, so everything I write and submit is basically permanent. It's actually public record. You can
That's
look at
true.
almost every word I've ever written at work is public record. You can go look it up.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. So, and you know, obviously I take advocacy positions for my clients and, you know, everyone understands that's a job and I don't necessarily like, you know, if I were doing like, I don't do anything controversial, so it actually doesn't matter.
So
But,
do you?
but,
So
like-
you guys are saying that hate have no home here.
no,
you
I
agree
was
with
trying.
that?
I was trying to get to
Hate
a
should not have a home here.
No,
but-
hate does. Hate does.
But it does have a home.
It does
here.
have a home here because, of course, we have hate graffiti and we have, you know, all kinds of stuff. But what I'm saying is, like, when someone has a thought like, oh, I didn't like this thing that this group did or this person did, and if you think it, even if you think the most racist shit ever and you don't write it down, and then you go, you know, that was really racist, that thing I thought.
Yeah.
Then that's okay, right? Because we live in a racist society. I mean, America is multi-ethnic and multiracial,
That's right. I mean,
and you know, we all got to get along. I go back to Ross Perot's like speech in NAACP, where he's like, ideally everyone would love each other, and if you can't do that, at least tolerate each other. You know, but please don't hate each other. You know, it's like,
Well, you
but
know,
but
it's-
people are writing it down, and then that becomes their brand.
Yep. Well, it's like Reagan said, I think when he was leaving office. Reagan said something to the degree of, you know, you could go to France, but you can't become French. You could go to Japan, but you can't become Japanese. But you could come to America and become American.
But that comes with a certain amount of letting go of any like hate or fights and stuff.
But it's you know, when if you grow up in the Middle East, you're gonna have a view of a certain type of person and be like they're our sworn enemy, and it's or
You're going to live next door to your sworn enemy here in America.
or an Irish guy back in the day living next to a Polish guy, and they don't get along because but I think it's built up to a point where
the other thing
people
is,
just still generally don't like each other.
Well, the other thing is that we have a tendency to dip into fights between other ethnic groups. Like white people show up. I don't want to see someone with like the most Irish name, like dipping into like a Middle Eastern thing. I'd rather talk to Arabs about it.
Right.
You know, I have a standing, I have a standing invitation to go to Beirut right now from the attorney in Beirut.
Yeah. I don't have a horse in the race. To me, it's like, all right, then go.
But you don't know enough.
Then read, don't talk.
They don't know enough about what's going on.
Listen to everybody else, but don't jump in.
They'll take talking points from particular groups, right? And if they're educated by that group, then they'll believe all the agitprop from that group. And then the truth is always much, much murkier in the Middle East than anything that you see on the news.
Yeah.
Henry, why don't you run? It feels like you like this.
Because I'm polarizing. People aren't going to vote for me, like...
Well, you could run for trustees in South Orange. That's where you
live,
South Orange.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, you're district leader now. You just got that, right?
Yeah, you're one step ahead.
Hey, look,
have you considered be a trustee?
Yeah.
I thought about it briefly, but I don't know if I would be a good trustee.
Why?
It's a lot of mechanics of because we're talking about all this race stuff, right? But that's like probably like 5% of what they do. Yeah. And they actually don't want to be doing this, and you can see by the behavior. It's not that they're racist. Like people are like, "Oh, the town council's racist because they didn't take up my cause." That may be true for some members, but overall, they have to deal with like redevelopment issues. They have to deal with like roads. They have to deal with the county, and we're like leftovers like for Essex County because we have such big cities in Essex County that we're like
Newark,
the periphery.
Right, by the time they get to right, exactly. Yeah,
we're the periphery.
Maybe you should talk to Michael Goldberg. He did run he ran for a while.
Well, he was on the board for quite some time. Matter of fact,
he was powerful at that time when Michael was village president now / mayor. Well, he had a lot of power.
Well, he wasn't village president. So what happened was he was on the trustees, and then I guess Sheena was going to run for president. He was going to run for president. He goes, Sheena, you go first. I'll go after you. It was like 20 years later, But Michael,
Michael was, Sheena, I think she was trustee at the time.
I gave you Michael's home phone. I got it right here. It's 973. I'm kidding.
You've talked to Michael.
Yeah, I talked to Michael a lot.
Michael really has strong opinions. Yeah.
He does. We don't agree on everything. I know a lot of people out there.
Really?
Oh, yeah. He's way more right-wing than I am.
Yeah. Mike.
Well,
he wasn't always like that, though. I think he's just fed up right now.
I think fiscal, he says he's right-wing, but socially he's...
socially he is more liberal. It's some of it is the one fight we did have was over the stipend. Like I went and I spoke. It was the only time I spoke at South Orange. I spoke in favor of the $10,000 stipend for the trustees.
Should get paid a little bit of money.
Yeah, because they spent a lot of time.
Michael was opposed to that, right?
Everyone was opposed to it except me.
Did they get it?
About getting the...
Did they get it?
Yeah, they did. They voted because they voted for themselves.
They voted to pay themselves.
They needed cover. I gave them cover.
I understand Michael's point of view. Like, then every year they want to raise it, and then comes to health insurance. Like,
there have been towns that have abused it. In Jersey, and they got popped for it. There were towns that got sued over it because they were doing shady stuff, like they were giving huge amounts of benefits to the members who were not full-time. But I felt like if it's capped and they spend a lot of time on this, and it's time, like I work hourly. That's the other reason I won't run. Because if I have to spend 20 hours a week working on TC stuff, multiply that by my earnings, we need the money at home. Like I'm going to hear about it.
Yeah, so you think Maplewood will start doing that too, like that?
I think they should. There's studies out there, like from third world countries, where they looked at corruption, right? Because Maplewood has its own bathroom issue, which I would love to find out what the inside scoop is on that with the bathroom. But like,
what bathroom?
Remember the bathroom that was built for like $1 zillion? You had the guy there that got fired.
Yes.
And he was like submitting 3 different bids from his companies.
Oh,
like they were just copying.
Was that the thing about Dean Dafford?
I don't know if that. look, I don't even know if it was him that was doing it. It was an employee there, but
He
we
was,
don't.
Yeah, he was. He was.
Well,
he was unaware of the whole.
But
whole
it was
process.
public
Yeah.
that they were. He
Yeah.
would throw Dean Duffus under the bus or something.
I think that's what
like
happened.
that.
They
Yeah.
tried to throw Dean under the
Oh,
bus.
but-
Yeah, I don't
yeah.
know. We don't know what happened there, so
No,
I don't
we
want to say
don't.
anything.
But I like the idea of a stipend.
But the
Ileana,
point
I
of-
would like a stipend actually to continue doing this podcast.
Well, you should get more than free food at Coda. I mean, I hope they're paying you. You know, like they don't just give you beer or something, right?
No, they just walk in and they're just
Oh,
like, I
my
can't believe what
God.
you said during that last podcast, Lee. I'm like,
You
"Oh,
know that some
you
people
about
have
that."
come up to me that and said, some of our guests, like, hey, let's hang out at Coda and just figure out what we're going to talk about and everything. Like,
Yeah, no, they just want us to buy them drinks and.
Well, it is
yeah,
a
they
nice
want us
spot.
to-
I have to say it's a nice spot. My
But you
son loves the burger there.
But Coda is the best, the absolute best food. So we have a few minutes left. Changing the subject a little bit. We just had the Joe Biden did what
that.
everybody was hoping he would do on the left at least. The right, I think they're a little disappointed because he looked very beatable.
I was surprised.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on both of you? What do we all three of us? What do we think of Kamala Harris?
I don't think she's fit for president.
She's
I think that everybody's going to vote for her because they don't want Trump, but I don't think she's fit. She doesn't really have the experience. Come on. She was
she's
the
been vice
lead-
president for 4 years.
When they did the primary, she was the least likable one. Remember that she called Biden racist, and then all of a sudden Biden took her as vice P. Now by default she is president. And what? She only had one homework was the border, and what did she do with that? Fucked it up even worse.
Okay, so
I
here's the
don't know.
deal with all of these modern day vice presidents, right? And I think it starts with Dan Quayle.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, his job was
the
to
worst.
go to funerals.
Okay,
and that was it.
Yeah,
That's all.
they
Yeah.
don't want a strong vice president because they're either intimidated or they're worried. I don't know why they don't pick like the number 2 and force a forced marriage.
Do vice
like-
president even do anything?
Yeah,
Because
they do a lot.
Pelosi said recently in an interview, maybe really don't do much.
They do a lot. They do the administration. So if the president has a policy, let's say I want to overthrow the government of North Korea, then the vice president is going to shepherd that through all the agencies that have to do that job. Or I want to do health care. I want to expand Medicare for everyone. The vice president is going to be the one. Like Al Gore was a really good vice president. Okay,
Yes, he was a
he
I liked Al Gore.
He actually ran the federal government. I don't know if Kamala has been like there have been complaints that she didn't get the press she deserved for the work she was doing.
Right.
You
I
know,
read that.
So there have been like issues there where she's not getting like put in the spotlight. I think because Biden was planning a second run, and there were issues in that relationship because there were a lot of expectations Biden would not run a second time, and then he got the taste of power, and he's like, I want to do it again.
And they kind of threw the border at her, which
Yeah, it's an unsolvable problem.
Unsolvable problem, especially the way they handled it. So then she looks bad there, and then you got the word salad and the
No one-
gaffes and the laughing and the
No one's ever solved the border.
And
so
then
you
they kind of wanted to you just we'll put you over into the corner a little bit, work on your communication skills.
But do you think she is fit to be president?
Yeah.
She's not as strong as Hillary.
I
Hillary
mean,
was a strong powerhouse.
it remains to be seen.
I wanted to ask
she's
you-
got she's got a formidable foe who's probably not fit to be president either, but. He's been president already.
If she
so
picks-
she's running against an ex-president.
if
That's
she-
a lot. That's asking a lot.
Here's the deal. Like, if she picks someone good as vice president, and I really like Andy Bashir because I lived in Kentucky for quite a long time. My dad was a college professor out there. We dealt with the other kind of racism. We had the Klan
Yep.
out there.
Right.
We had to deal with them. There were
Yeah.
5 Jews in our town.
Yeah.
Like including Howard, who had a blue and white Israeli colored pickup truck. Believe it or not, he had the blue striping on his
yeah?
pickup truck. It was hilarious. But he was like the redneck Jew. But Andy's a really good person to deal with centrists and center right people who can be convinced to vote for a Democratic ticket because he's pro-choice, right? But he knows that he's the governor of Kentucky and that's never happening in his state.
Yeah.
So he just mildly says, we have a very different opinion, me and you guys, but that doesn't mean we can't be friends. And let's work on the things we can work on. Like, let's not have like this blanket abortion ban in Kentucky because like the other states want to do. So he's more conciliatory and he's also good with blue collar people. So him or like the governor of Minnesota, if she picks someone that's uber left, then it's going to be a big problem. But
She needs to be someone centrist or moderate.
yeah, because she's on the left and representing that stuff. And then she needs someone that's also very good at just running the mechanics.
What about Shapiro? Everyone seems to like this guy out of Pennsylvania.
But
Yeah,
why
he's
hasn't
good.
Obama hasn't
But a
formally...
black woman and a Jew, I don't know.
Look,
But why-
I hate to be like this. I will say what I said privately. Like, I say, like, I had an African American gentleman who's a business partner of mine on a business a long time ago, and I still work with him on his business. I help him out in the cannabis space, and he said, Henry, what do you think when Obama became elected? What do you think is going to happen with that? And I said, like, look, I voted for him. I think it's time we had a black president. And he said, yeah, but what do you think? And I told him point blank, I think it's going to bring all of the racist MFers out of the woodwork. There's going to be some crazy ass racism. Just get ready for it.
Yeah.
You know, because even when Obama ran, it was already like you were born in Kenya and all this nonsense.
No, I mean,
saw
right.
it.
Sean Hannity calling Barack Hussein Obama.
Yeah, it was like crazy.
You know,
Obama
when that
was not.
He wasn't his choice.
But let me ask you both this question.
So I worry about that with Shapiro.
Let me ask you both this question quickly. Why do you think Obama and Michelle hasn't formally back up Kamala?
Barack hasn't.
He made a statement about Biden, but he didn't say, "Okay, I'm going to support Kamala."
That's interesting.
Neither one of them, and I've heard, people think like there's something going on that neither Michelle or Obama have stated that they support. Do you think there's something planned in there? There's a lot of speculation.
I have really no idea why. I do know that
you would think they would come out and
like I'm like possibly the lowest tier of the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
So I can just run my mouth, but the party at the national level is in complete disarray. I will just say that. And I think that they are sitting there, like, I think Obama is sitting there looking at poll numbers. And he's like, right now, the poll numbers, like, Kamala has raised a huge amount of money. Harris has raised huge money. So that's good. But the poll numbers aren't out yet because she hasn't had a poll where she's the front runner. She's had polls of the what if she ran.
But don't you think
and
that
they didn't come out good. They came out similar to Biden. That's why I was opposed at first to having Biden step off the ticket for her. Because I said, look, you can't bring somebody else in because that's a diss to the vice president. You know, like she's the vice president. If Biden quits, her role is to take his spot.
Yeah, but don't you think that if Obama supports her, that would help her?
It would, but I think he's waiting for poll numbers. Because if her poll numbers in swing states come back abysmal and there's no chance in hell
So
of
what
winning,
happens if the poll number doesn't come as he expected?
then, but you know, this is all going to be decided in Thursday. So like,
When is she going to be the official candidate
Well,
for
you
the
have to-
Democratic
you
Party?
have
in 3 days.
Yeah, and then you have the convention.
And the convention means meaningless because of the Ohio thing. The convention's meaningless. There is the Zoom convention, which is the real convention.
Right.
You see, because what they did is the Democrats held the convention late. And usually states allow you to backfill your nominee. But the government of Ohio said, we are not going to give you a waiver to have a late convention. They refused to give a waiver because they were trying to get Biden off the ballot in Ohio. So what the Democrats said is, okay, fine, we're going to have a Zoom convention, and I think that's next week. So she has to get the delegate vote then. She has the pledged delegates. They've said they're going to vote for her. You know,
she's basically in. Then.
she's basically in.
But it's not.
But I don't know.
formally
So like the only thing
official.
I can think of for Obama is he's waiting for some sort of polling or he wants something from her to give the endorsement because it's all horse trading. You know, and he's like, I've got this endorsement. It's worth something. I'm going to quote Rod Blagojevich, you know,
A little showmanship. Yeah,
you know,
like
they're both from Chicago.
He comes down from the mountain, to anoint the next president of the United States,
Listen, they put the man in jail for doing it because he did it illegally, but Obama's doing the same thing. He's like, I got this thing, and it's, if you want something, you're going to do something for me. You're going to put some of my people into cabinet spots or whatever.
I think Obama enjoyed being America's last black president, and this worries him a little bit.
That's funny, but
we're going to cut off in just a minute. Our weekly shout out to Steve Hickson, by the way, Ileana.
He's the poster of the week.
Yeah, poster of the week.
We should do that. Who's the poster of the week?
Yeah, Steve Hickson. So my apologies, Steve.
Steve Hickson.
Steve, my wife by the way. I don't know if you listened last week. She had a terrible time at Maple Woodstock. She hated it. She always hates it. She's still mad at me about Maple Woodstock. And then she heard the podcast where I talked about her the whole time. And she's really mad. So she's not talking to me at all. She's like as mad as she can ever be. So yesterday I'm supposed to pick her up from the train, and I'm running late. Right. So she gets off the train from New York, and she's hot. She's tired. It's 100 degrees, and I'm not there because I forgot. So I'm coming. I was like, I hadn't even left. I was
The building.
Yeah, right. I didn't left the building. So she's like, well, I'm going to Coda to get a drink. So she's all mad. She marches down the Coda. And Hickson's there. He's eating some food.
Oh, yeah, I think he told me that he saw, your wife there.
So Hickson, my wife's in a bad mood, and she's not a Kamala Harris fan. No, she's a Democrat. She doesn't like Harris. She finds the woman annoying, and so she sits down at the bar, and they go, hey, Steve. Steve's like, hey, can you believe Harris? Isn't she great? So she goes off on Steve. I'm sick of Harris. I'm sick of all this progressive. 2 weeks ago, they're telling me Biden is great. Biden is going to win. Biden is the best. There's nothing wrong with him. He hasn't lost a step, and he's going to win. And now all of a sudden, the same people are like, Harris is great. So she goes off on Steve, and so poor Steve, I just was like, basically like, whoa, so you're not voting for her. So Steve, my apologies for my wife's behavior.
See?
That was yes.
We're gonna have to do that. Like, who's the poster of the week?
Your poster of the week,
Or
okay.
maybe
That's
and
right,
this one
right.
is for Steve Hickson.
Yes. Well, Henry Cittone is the poster of the week this
please
week.
no.
So Henry. Thank you very much for everything you did for us today.
Yeah,
we learned
you
a
did.
lot from
We
you.
did.
to.
You're a great poster. You're a great American, and you really. The bottom line is that we wanted you in because I'm just so impressed with the things you have to say on social media. I know Ileana is too. And,
I think I'm gonna go to Coda now and have a Bloody Mary.
And we appreciate everything. So, Ileana, anything to say before we?
Not good. Everything good. Oh yeah. Oh my God, how did I
Ileana
forget
always
this?
has one last thing.
I know. Next Monday's my birthday.
Ooh, happy birthday! Happy birthday!
Can we ask how old?
Yeah, I'm going to be. Okay, fine. I'm gonna be 46.
46. So we should do a podcast on your birthday. You can wear your
Practically a
birthday
child.
suit.
But it's a Monday.
You can. You wear your birthday
I'm
suit.
both.
Yeah.
This is radio. You don't. You're not gonna get anything.
Well,
It's
just
not
nobody's
OnlyFans.
Watching.
Right. I'm just
yeah.
not
well,
OnlyFans.
She wants to do a video podcast, so maybe we'll video podcast for your birthday. So 46. What are you gonna do? You celebrating? You got?
I don't know. I was thinking maybe go to Atlantic City for my birthday for a couple of days, but I'm not sure yet. But
Right.
yeah, it's my birthday.
So it's July.
July 29th.
July 29th.
I'm a Leo.
A Leo. Okay. All right. Yeah.
So
that's
yeah, drinks
46.
at Coda. I welcome them.
So you're 4 years older than me. I can't believe it.
You know,
Really?
No.
I love to
I
plan
wish,
travel.
no. Yeah, you're 46. I'm
So-
actually 57, so I got 11 years on
So
you,
for the same money,
How old are
you're
you, by the
gonna
way?
50. For the same money you're gonna lose in Atlantic City, I can send you to the BVI, the British Virgin Islands.
Oh, he's right.
Okay,
He's right.
on an island with 400 people who are super nice. There's no well, there is a little discord on the island, but not too much.
Oh, I kind of like that. And I just came from Dion. Can you imagine? Did not step one feet.
So
on the
you know where
beach.
Tortola is. So Joost Van Dyke is right next door.
Oh,
and-
should I do like what Kristen? She's gonna kill me for this. Kristen from Lounge does put
Kristen
put a
Tyler,
jar so people can donate
Oh,
for
her
my
tip
birthday.
jar.
The
Yeah, the tip jar.
It's
Let's do
my
the tip jar,
birthday
yes.
tip jar. No, I wouldn't do that.
Do you know that tip jar came from in this area? Maplewood Online had the tip jar, and you know whose idea it was? It was mine. I said to
Oh, it
Jamie,
was you?
I said, Jamie, you should have a tip jar. And Jamie's like, I think that's a great idea. And he had the tip jar, and people were, and you know, he's the fucking douchebag still banned me anyway, even after I created the tip jar.
You made
So,
him money
yeah.
and he banned you.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Do you
yeah,
guys
yeah. So
agree with the tip
I
jar?
apologize for calling you a
Because a lot of
douchebag, Jamie.
people-
That was wrong of me. But it's the truth, man. I was tip jar my idea, Jamie.
You know, a lot of people have told me like, why don't you put a tip jar? But I find it like it's so
It's
like,
weird. It's-
Well, you know what you ought to
tacky.
do?
Yeah.
Put a tip jar out and raise money for a good cause.
Right.
That I could
Like
do.
that poor woman that works as an aide or whatever, and she's gonna. Ilana put up the thing in
Who?
talks. That lady that has a kid and she's gonna lose her apartment.
Yeah.
And she works in the school district, and she doesn't have enough money to pay the rent.
Or you could have a tip jar for
Like,
your
there's
co-host
always
on
causes,
the Soma
right?
Talks podcast.
So there's
You know,
always
that,
causes,
right,
or-
that could be my stipend.
Or
your tip jar.
or school supplies, or like I raised $1,020, even though people.
You know who I
the
always
school
like to help
district.
a lot? The cat ladies that are always helping cats.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do that because they're
That's
always
nice.
asking constantly because vet and they're help. They go trap the cat, go.
Okay.
Work, you know, I might think about that maybe for December to help them or something. But since it's my birthday,
All right, so let's get a tip jar up on the Soma Talks, and you know what, people, Ileana, we don't know what she's gonna do with the money. Just send her money and let her do what she wants with it. She'll probably run off to
AC.
Right, Stacy with it.
to bet on the money. No, I'm just
right.
kidding.
Right, so-
I don't bet. I really don't. I
right.
like to sit and watch, but I don't do that.
Yes. Well, anyway, everybody, this was a great podcast. Henry,
Yes,
Ileana,
thank you, Henry, so
all right.
much.
Thank you.
Guys, we'll be back next week with more from the Soma Talks podcast
And my birthday. Bye.
and Ileana's birthday.